Children, today we will be discussing the cloning vector. It is another very important tool for biotechnological processes, that is cloning vector. Now you can easily come by name, you can easily identify that it is a vector. So we know what is vector. Vector is a particularly a vehicle which transmits certain things from one to other. Like you can see here, the malaria, in malaria, the Plasmodium vivax is carried by the vector female Anopheles mosquito. Now where from it is taken? It is carried from one person to other. So female Anopheles mosquito is here acting as a vector or vehicle which is carrying Plasmodium from one person to other. So likewise vector here also, it is a vector is actually a vehicle which is carrying the DNA of our interest or gene of our interest from one cell to other. Now why it is cloning? Because now you see we have gone through so many processes for finding out our desired fragment of the DNA, and now we have got the desired fragment of DNA, and now we want to transfer it into a cell where from we will get the product. Now will we want that only one copy of that is enough? Obviously not. Clear, when we are transferring to a recipient cell, obviously we will think that it must have multiple copies, it must produce multiple copies so that we can get an enough amount of our desired product. Now, so here the vector is not only carrying, it is also cloning vector. That means it is can be forming multiple copies of our desired DNA. So it is carrying the desired DNA from one cell to other, and it is also helping the forming multiple copies of desired DNA, and that is why it is called cloning vector. So let us see what are the characteristics of an ideal cloning vector. So what are the characteristics of an ideal cloning vector? First of all, you can see it will have an ORI, that is origin of replication. Clear? Now you see, if we put a DNA fragment in a cell, will it replicate? No. Why it will not replicate? Because it don't have that particular site where from it will start replication, and that particular site where from a DNA starts its replication is called origin of replication. This is very vital when we need a DNA to produce its copy or replicate. So without origin of replication, this DNA fragment cannot replicate. So a vector should have an origin of replication, because just now we have told that we need multiple copies of our desired DNA, and that is why the vector has to replicate itself producing multiple copies, because it is carrying the desired DNA. So it should have origin of replication. Next is it should have selectable marker. Now what is mean by selectable marker? Now we are inserting our desired DNA into a bacteria or a particular cell. Clear? But will we be able to realize whether this desired DNA has been inserted into the cell? No. Without any marker, you can't realize that whether, you can't screen out that which has been, in which cell it has been inserted and which cell not. Clear? So, and that is very important, because next further proceeding will be only with that cells which has this desired gene, that means which are the transformants. So where the gene of interest has been inserted is called transformant, and where it is not inserted, the cells where it is not inserted, those are called non-transformant. So to screen out the transformant from the non-transformant, we need a selectable marker which will act as a marker, and it will help us to recognize the transformant, that means where the desired gene has been inserted. Next is the recognition site or restriction site of the endonuclease. Now suppose Now suppose this is a plasmid and we want to insert our gene of interest here. Now if it is an intact one, will we be able to insert? No. We have to cut it where from we can insert our gene of interest. Clear? So that is the recognition site of the restriction endonuclease, because restriction endonuclease is the enzyme which will cut it. Another thing is that the restriction endonuclease site of that restriction endonuclease is needed, by which we have cut our desired DNA fragment, because already we have learned that they produce sticky ends so that they can rejoin. Clear? So the restriction site should be of that restriction enzyme, or recognition site will be of that restriction enzyme by which we have cut our desired DNA, and that particular recognition site will also be here so that we can cut the plasmid or the vector by that particular restriction enzyme and can insert our gene of interest. So this is another point. Another point is the ROP. This gene should be there. This ROP is mainly the proteins which are needed for DNA replication. Now we want our plasmid or the vector to be replicated because it contains our gene of interest. More it replicates, more our gene of interest will be replicated. But how it will replicate? Until and unless the necessary proteins are there. So there should be gene which will help in the production of this type of proteins which are necessary for replication. And overall it should be small, easy to handle. Clear? So these are the characteristics of the ideal cloning vector. So origin of replication, the selectable marker, recognition site of the restriction endonuclease, and the ROP or the protein for the DNA replication, and it should be a small, easy to handle. So these are the characteristics of an ideal genetic cloning vector. Next we will see what are the vectors. Clear? Number one is the plasmids. In bacteria, in sometimes in certain fungi also we find these plasmids. What are these plasmids? Plasmids are the circular, self-replicating, clear, extra chromosomal DNA which is present in bacteria. So plasmids are widely used in the vector because it has a replication, it can replicate its own, clear, and so it is and can easily be taken by the cell, bacterial cell. So it is widely used vector. And there are various types of plasmid like PBR322, then PUC, TI plasmid. So various types of plasmids that use it's a cloning vector. Next is the viruses. Now there are numerous viruses and bacteriophage, especially the lambda bacteriophage, clear, which undergoes lysogenic cycle. That means their DNA gets attached to the bacteria but does not attach to the bacteria, and the bacteria when the divides, this DNA also along with the bacterial chromosome it moves to the next cell. So thus it can multiply itself, clear, and this gene of interest will also multiply, and so we can get a lot of gene of interest. And so bacteriophage, especially the lambda bacteriophage, is a very good vector. And in human being, adenovirus, herpes virus, these viruses are also used as a very good vector. Next are the cosmids. These are the plasmids where the cos sites from these lambda vectors has been introduced. And these are very useful for transferring the larger DNA fragments. Another one is the artificial chromosome. Yeast artificial chromosome, bacterial artificial chromosomes are the artificial chromosomes which are introduced in the yeast or bacteria and with our gene of interest, and thus when these chromosomes multiply, our gene of interest also multiply and we can get the desired products. So these are the things which are used as vector, like plasmid, bacteriophages, viruses or other viruses like herpes, adenoviruses for human, then cosmids, then artificial chromosome, yeast or bacterial artificial chromosome. These are all the vectors, common vectors which are used. Now we are going to discuss about a particular vector, that is the plasmid, which is PBR322. So this is the plasmid PBR322. You can see it is the plasmid which has been derived from the E. coli, and has been modified by human being. So the plasmid derived from the E. coli and has been modified by human being, which is PBR322. Now we will check that whether it's a very good vector or not, cloning vector or not. Now, what are the characters of cloning vector? Already we have discussed. So let us see whether it has. So first of all, the origin of replication. So here we find the origin of replication. So now you are sure that this plasmid will be able to replicate, and when it will be able to replicate it, if it is carrying our gene of interest, the gene of interest will also be replicated, and we can get a numerous copies of that gene of interest, and as a result enough amount of products. Next is it has ROP, that is the proteins required for the replication. This gene is also there, where from it can produce the proteins which are required for its replication. Next is the recognition site. So if we go on for the recognition site, you will find there are multiple recognition sites of various restriction enzymes. So you know this is a human modified plasmid. So intentionally numerous recognition sites of various restriction endonuclease have been kept, so that when we know that if we cut our gene of interest with a particular restriction endonuclease, we have to cut that plasmid also, the vector also, by that particular restriction endonuclease to get the sticky ends where from they can again rejoin. Clear? So there are numerous, so all these which are there in the outside the circle, you can see all these are basically basically like PEST1, PUV1, EcoR1, CLAT1, clear, then HIN3, BAMH1, SAL1. So these are all the, where we are pointing, these are actually the recognition site of this particular group of restriction endonuclease. So here you can see here it is. So suppose this is BAMH1. So this is the site where we find that particular set of sequences which will the BAMH1 will act. Or suppose this is EcoR1. So here we will find that particular set of sequence like GAATTC, so that EcoR1 can act on it. Clear? Or CTTAG. So likewise, all these restriction enzymes have their particular recognition site in the region which are marked by them. Now next is so we have multiple recognition sites, so we can use a multiple types of enzymes for cutting the desired DNA when we are using the PBR322 plasmid as a vector. So it is an added advantage. Another one is the selectable marker. So selectable marker already we have studied. It is for distinguishing or screening the transformant from the non-transformant. Now selectable marker can be antibiotic resistant gene. You can see here there are two antibiotic resistant gene like ampicillin resistant gene, and this is the tetracycline resistant gene. So this is the ampicillin resistant gene and this is the tetracycline resistant genes. That means when these genes are intact, so this portion is the ampicillin resistant gene. When this gene remains intact, this bacteria can easily grow on ampicillin. But if this gene is disrupted by this when we are introducing our gene of interest by this restriction endonuclease, this gene will get disrupted and this bacteria will unable to grow the bacteria which is carrying this plasmid will be unable to grow on ampicillin. So likewise tetracycline also. Tetracycline, this bacteria which is having this plasmid can easily grow on tetracycline as because it had tetracycline resistant gene. But if we cut that this our desired DNA by BAMH1, and if we cut this, so we will cut this plasmid PBR322 by BAMH1 to introduce our desired DNA. So what will happen? These bacteria which was still growing on tetracycline, as they have the intact tetracycline resistant gene, will stop its growth, as because now the gene of the tetracycline has been disrupted. So easily we can select the transformant from the non-transformant. So it is the selectable marker. So it also have this. So we can say that PBR322 is a very ideal cloning vector. But still there are some problems. What is the problem? Now see, this is the PBR322. Here we have inserted our desired gene, clear, and now this plasmid has been inserted in the bacteria. Now how will we screen? First of all, we will suppose we have used BAMH1. Clear? So when we are using BAMH1 to introduce our desired gene, then what will happen? This gene for the tetracycline resistant, clear, will be disrupted, and the bacteria will be no more resistant to tetracycline. Now how will we screen this bacteria where this gene of interest has been inserted? So let us see. So first of all, what we have to do? We have to grow this bacteria in a medium containing ampicillin. When this bacteria, so you can see here some bacteria are forming colonies in the medium containing ampicillin. So this means why they are forming colonies in the medium containing ampicillin, as because they have the ampicillin resistant gene. Because we haven't disrupted ampicillin resistant gene, so ampicillin resistant gene is intact. So when they are growing in the ampicillin resistant genes, those bacteria which are growing in the ampicillin resistant genes, we can easily recognize these are the bacteria where the plasmid has been inserted. So successfully the plasmid has been inserted in those bacteria which are growing in the ampicillin, because the plasmid contains the ampicillin resistant gene. Now it is the question whether our gene of interest has been inserted or not. So first of all, we have screened out, so these C which are not growing here, that means the plasmid has not been inserted here. So we are first of all screening the bacteria where the plasmid has been inserted. Now we will take this bacteria and will transfer to another medium which is containing the tetracycline. Now what will happen? Now if the tetracycline gene is intact, clear, so this bacteria can grow and make colonies here in the tetracycline, because if the tetracycline gene is intact, resistant gene is intact, that means the plasmid are having tetracycline resistant intact tetracycline resistant gene, so they will be able to grow on this colony. But if they are having the intact tetracycline resistant genes, what does it mean? Our gene of interest has not been inserted. Plasmid has been inserted in the bacteria, but our gene of interest has not been inserted in the plasmid, clear, in that particular plasmid. So the bacteria which are not growing, so you can see here, these are the small points, these are the bacteria which are not growing in this medium. Why they are not growing in the medium? As because their tetracycline resistant gene has been disrupted. And how it has been disrupted? It has been disrupted as because our gene of interest has been inserted here. So now we can select those transformants from the group of non-transformants. So here these are these bacteria which are not growing in the tetracycline are the transformant, and we can easily take them out and for use for our purposes. But the problem is that these requires, if we use this type of selectable marker, it requires numerous plating, clear, because when we are using antibiotic resistant, many of the antibiotic resistant genes are used as a selectable marker. Clear? And there we require numerous plating, and there may be other inhibitors, which are other factors which is inhibiting the growth, and that may causes erroneous result. So this, though it is good, but it is somehow it is, there are problems. So to overcome this, University of California, they generated another plasmid which is can be used as a vector, and there they use the selectable marker as LAC-Z gene. Clear? The LAC-Z gene already we have learned in, where we have learned it? We have learned LAC-Z in the lac-operon. So this LAC-Z gene, we know that it produces beta-galactosidase, and these beta-galactosidase can act as a selectable marker. So how it will act as a selectable marker? So this PUC plasmid, which is generated by the University of California, they contain beta-galactosidase, and if we disrupt the gene of beta-galactosidase by some restriction in the nucleus to insert our desired gene, then what will happen? Beta-galactosidase can break the X-gal if present in the media. Clear? They can break the X-gal, and they can, when they break the X-gal, they produce a blue colored substance, and as a result the colony becomes blue. But if they are not active, clear, if they are not activated or they are not intact, they cannot produce that particular, the beta-galactosidase becomes inactive. Clear? So if they are inactive by some inserts, then what will happen? Then they will not be able to produce those. If they are inactivated by some insert, they will not be able to produce that particular beta-galactosidase will become inactive, and they will not be able to break X-gal into blue color substance, and as a result the colony will remain white. So we can easily screen out the white colonies from the blue color colonies, and where these are the transformant. So PUC plasmid is produced by the is generated by the University of California, which contains the LAC-Z gene, which produces enzyme beta-galactosidase. The beta-galactosidase can break up X-gal if present in media and produces blue color substance. So if the beta-galactosidase is intact, clear, the LAC-Z gene is intact, then the beta-galactosidase will be produced, and then the colony will be blue. If the LAC-Z gene is disrupted by the insert, clear, of our desired gene, then beta-galactosidase will not be produced, and as a result the X-gal will not be broken down, and they will not form blue color colony. Instead they will form white color colony. So by seeing this, we can easily find out the transformant or screen out the transformant from the non-transformant. Clear? So this is a very easy, quick process to screen out the transformant from the non-transformant. Now when we are using the selectable marker, when we are inserting any gene of interest, we are disrupting a particular gene which is there in the vector. So here it is called insertional inactivation. We are inserting a foreign gene and we are inactivating a particular native gene which is present in the vector. So this is called insertional inactivation. Another plasmid which is used as vector is the TI plasmid, which is present in the Agrobacterium tumefaciens. It is the TI plasmid present in the Agrobacterium tumefaciens, clear, which contains a gene called tDNA. This contains a segment of DNA which is called tDNA. This tDNA have a characteristics to get attached with the host DNA, and also to stimulate the host cell to divide. Clear? And as a result, when the host cell divides, as this tDNA also divides, also replicates, and as a result there are numerous copies of tDNAs are also formed. So if we can insert this our gene of interest in this plasmid, so automatically we can have a numerous copies of that particular gene. But the problem is that it can be used, it has a limited use only in the dicot plants. So these are the common cloning vectors which are in use.